Hello everyone, this is Udoxon, your favorite admin and favorite Shaiya builder. You may already know me from Shaiya Valinor for episode 4.5 and episode 5.4, but this time our endeavor is much greater than even those previous efforts, and we are here to really try to redefine your Shaiya experience. Our goal is to bring back that feeling of deep nostalgia from 15 years ago, but at the same time, provide you the experience and the quality of life that you'd expect to see in 2025. For this reason, I like to call this project Shaiya Valinor Classic Plus. And I'm going to particularly not talk so much about the service itself today because you can find all about it on our website, but I'm going to try to provide a quick tutorial on the game itself and one particular feature, one of the unique features that we're offering. And that particular feature goes a step beyond having you as part of our community, actually turning you into one of our partners in building and developing the game, giving you the opportunity to actually edit anything that you want in the game along with us and even help us, or just do it for fun and be imaginative with it. The first part I'm going to start with is this folder. So this is a client folder of the game, and the data folder contains, ignore this one please, I'll explain this in a bit, but in the data folder you are going to have two subfolders, language and world. Now the world folder contains the map names. I do not really recommend changing the map names because they show the names of the maps in the game, but you can play with that one too. The other one though, the language folder, contains the strings of the languages in the game. Yes, we do provide 7 different fully supported languages, and you can easily switch between languages just by going to this mini app. Let me find it here, our modified configuration file. And here you can pick any language you like. I have picked French, for example. You can also change other graphic and sound options. You can change the interface of this by the language panel here. And by doing this, the entire game, the interface, and everything else in the game will switch to the language that you want to play it in. Now we're back to the data folder and we're going into the language. So the cache files for each language, these determine the names of the items in the item mall. I don't think that there is anything fun about this, but since we're on the French one, we can go and edit something. Let's say, let's make the rune pack, let's make it Valinor's gems, shall we? Let's see. And then we are going to look at the item. So in the item, depending on the language that you are playing, you can go and change any item's name to whatever you like. Now, many items are missing, that's why there are question marks. But any item, there is, thousands, more than 30,000 items. Depending on the item that you like, you can just Control F, look for the item like Goddess. Because I'm using the French one, Goddess is not going to give out any results. But I can demonstrate this on the English item file. So let's go to Goddess. Right, no, this is actually the Turkish, sorry. Where's English one? Right, actually we don't have the English one because the English is a default one. So, but we are probably going to add the English one too. Let's do the Turkish one, but try with the Turkish name for Goddess, which is Ilahi. Now the reason it's not really switching right now is because we want to change the encoding to something that will match the Turkish one, and it's this. So let's see now. And there we go. So we have Ilahi Alistair, or whatever it is. So you can find the item that you want to change the name of and go to the item by Control and F, and then you can just write whatever you like in the place of that, and that will change the name of the item, or you can just replace it here. So anything that is Ilahi can become whatever you like Goddess. And once you apply this to all of these findings, you see that they become Goddess. And that will be reflected in the game too. The next one is Monster. So on the Monster one, you can again, let's say, let me switch back to English. So we're looking for Kimuraku, okay? And let's see if we can find Kimuraku. Some reason we cannot find, because probably I have modified it on one of my previous video shots. But let's go to 835, and that's gonna be Kimuraku. Right, okay, yeah, I had just earlier changed its name, so I'm so hot today. Let me make it Valinor's Gem 2. Right. And then we've got the NPC folders, the NPC strings, sorry. And on the NPC strings, I can't remember a particular NPC name now that we could change the name of. But again, you following the same principle, if you want to change a particular NPC name, you find his name in the game, you write it here by Ctrl and F, then you replace it with whatever you like. And then you've got the gatekeepers and you've got the quests, so you can literally change the quest names here and their descriptions and everything about them. And the NPC shops, the NPC skills, this one actually changes the skill names of the monsters in the game, of the mobs in the game. And this one changes the skill names of characters. So if you want to change a particular skill, you can type its name here and then look and then just replace it with a name that you like. So this all can be done with Ctrl F like this. I'm going to have the download link for this application, Shaiya Code Studio, right below this video so you can actually use it. And this is the first step. You can edit every string in the game. And let's actually check what we did edit so far. Let's go into the game. And so far we did edit one item in the item wall. Remember, we're on the French version, so the game should load as a French game with interface and all strings in French. And as you can see, the interface is already in French. There we go. Please don't mind the names of my characters. It's just, when you have created 500 characters, you just don't care what you're typing anymore. Right, there we go. Well, here is Kimuraku. And voila, his name now is Valinor's Gem. Now, the other thing that we did edit was here, Valinor's Gem. Now, this can be quite a creative process. You can name mobs after your friends or whatever you like. You can have fun, or you can just redesign the game so that it fits, it matches your style better. But that's only the beginning. The next step is, and for the next step, you are going to need this particular tool. It's called SAH Editor. And once you open the SAH Editor, let's open it. You can then open the data file of the game. So the data file is this one. You want to make sure that you are going to the directory of your client, and in the client, you want to select data SAH. Once you do that, you are going to have everything that's in the game. So all these folders, for example, character has everything related to the visuals of a character. Their gears, their sets, their shapes, their faces, their bodies, and so on. The cloak one contains everything about capes in the game. The effect file contains everything about the effects in the game, like the weapon effects, like the building effects, like those colors, changes, and so on. I'll show you in more detail in a little bit. The entity contains everything about the landscape and the buildings. The interface contains everything about the interface panels, like these windows that you're opening in the game. Sorry. And you see that there are several different interface folders, and these are the ones that switch when you switch the language. So when you go to French one, for example, when you want to change something on the interface but you're playing the French version of the game, you have to edit things in this folder, not on this one. And then there is the monster folder, which contains everything about the looks of monsters and the shapes of monsters. Monster being a mob and bosses in the game. And the NPC contains everything about the looks and the shapes of the NPCs in the game. Sky folder contains every visual that governs how the sky looks. You can play with that, and that's incredibly creative actually. The sound folder contains all the sounds in the game, so you can literally replace every sound in the game with a sound that you like. You can put a song, you can put some speech, whatever you like. The terrain one I would not recommend working on this one yet, but this one governs the looks of the terrain. So for example, if you've got grass, you can change the color of the grass. And then the vehicle one contains the looks, the files that govern the looks of your mounts. And you can edit them. You can get really creative with them. And finally, there's the world folder. Now, I do not recommend working a lot on the world folder because it requires a different kind of editor. You cannot easily edit that one. But in case you want, I'm going to upload this easy editor for world where you can just change the place of portals. You can change the names of portals and so on and so forth. Now, in order to work on all of these, you have to extract these. So you click on extract, then you pick path of the data file, and that's going to extract all of this inside your game client. And then you can start working on this. I'm not going to do this now because I have already done it. And I'm closing this and entering the extracted part. So in the character folder, you have the Death Eater, the Elf, the Human, the Val. So for each race. Let's look at the Elf. In the Elf folder, you are really interested in the DDS folders. Actually, in all cases, you want to work on the DDS folders mainly. Once you open the DDS folder, you can use a Photoshop, you can use graphic designing AIs, or you can use a very simple program just like Paint and open these files and edit them the way you can edit the faces of characters, you can edit their hairs, you can edit their gears, like their clothes, you can recolor them, you can add symbols on them, and so on and so forth. I'm skipping the rest for now. I think you are getting the idea. If you want to really go in detail, you can just follow this, and then the rest is really up to your own exploration. But then we're going to look at the cloak. Again, you're interested into the cloth texture inside these 4 folders. So this is for elves, this is for Death Eaters, this is for humans, and for Vals. Let's go into elves again. And here you've got the designs of the capes. You can completely change the designs, the colors, you can put symbols, and so on and so forth again. There are certain files that you cannot edit here, and to edit them you will need another tool, which I'm going to upload, and in my second tutorial, I will be providing a bit more advanced editing tutorials. So the next folder is the effects. This is probably the most creative one because here you can change the colors of effects, you can make really beautiful things. And in my second tutorial with the more advanced approach, you will be able to, I'll actually have separate tutorials for each kind of tool, for each kind of part of the game to edit. And you will see that you can even change the behavior of the effects in the game. You can really remake them. And then we're looking at entity. For most part, you will not be able to edit many parts of entity unless you have a few other tools that I will not provide now, but we'll have a separate tutorial on this one. So buildings are here, all the buildings in the game, the grass are here. These are SMOD files, and you cannot easily edit SMOD files. So that's why I'm skipping them for now. Here are the shape files. However, you can edit the texture files. So these texture files literally stick on the SMOD file. So the SMODs, they are the shapes, they are the structures, and these files stick on the SMOD file. So you can still edit the colors of buildings or other objects in the game just by editing these files in here. And then you've also got water. You can edit the color of water, for example. You can edit the texture of water. Right, so it's really up to your creativity. You have a lot of room for getting creative. I'm skipping the interface because I'll talk about it at the end. It's the most editable part of the game, by the way. For the items, again, you're interested into the DDS folder. And here you can edit any clothing piece, any weapon piece, any item in general, their looks, their colors, right? Once again, you can use AI, you can use Photoshop if you're good at that, or you can use something more basic like Paint. For example, you can open this weapon on Paint and you can literally change the colors, all the colors here. You can put different designs on here. You can put, let's say, gold color here. You can put the cat face here, and so on. Right, next one, monsters. Again, you're interested into the DDS folder, and again, you can, for example, take Kimuraku. It will take some time for you to figure out which DDS file corresponds to which monster, so you will have to do, trial and error, and you will have to look carefully. But many of these files contain the names of the monster itself, of the mob itself, so you can try to find it by that. Here's, for example, Dios. You can change Dios to something yellow, for example. You can change his face, you can change his body, and yeah, it's totally up to you. Then the NPC, again, you are looking at the DDS. I remember on Valinor 5.4, we made an existing NPC into Frodo Baggins. So again, you can get super creative here. And then we've got the sky. So on the sky, you are working on TGA, kind of. So here are the clouds in the sky, more clouds in the sky, and the other kind of file that you're working with are the BMP files. So they look like this. They're a bit weird and difficult to figure out at the first glance, but you can just experiment and see what happens when you change their colors, when you work on them. Then the sound folder is here. As I said, you can replace any sound with a sound that you like. So these are some basic sounds in the game. Here are the musics. For example, when you enter a map, those ambient sounds in the background. And here are some other background noises or sounds like birds chirping and so on. And I'm missing strip because this part of the game is really unused, so there is not much, but you can explore that one too. Terrain, and you go into detail, and there you go. You can change the grass color. You can change the desert color. Yeah, you can really get creative here too. And then we've got the vehicles. You can focus on the DDSs of the vehicles. You can make your vehicle really stand out. Now it's the right time to point out that all of these changes will be available only to you and visible only to you. Now, if you really do something amazing and you want to share it with us, you'll have to go to our Discord and go to this section where you have the mods and you have show off section where you can practically show us some edits that you made, and that you can offer it to people, to other players. You can just take the file, upload it here, and they can download it and put it in their data and use it. So here you can offer mods, and here you can request mods. For example, there is something that you cannot do, but there are people who can. You can say, please change my mobs, my mounts visuals to something like this, and you describe it in detail, and someone else does it. There are many people who are actually quite good with the designs of the game, so they can do it. And once you have the design, you just need to replace that file, your existing file, with that file. Let's take that you got the mount designs, the DDSs for the mount, and you have to come to vehicle, you go to DDSs, and you drop those files here. But actually not on this folder, you have to do this directly on the data of the game, so that it actually works. So you go back to the data, right in here, whoops, not here, but you open the data SAH via SAH editor. And we're opening data SAH. And let's say that you got new files for vehicles. So you come in here and you go to the DDSs and you take those files and you just drag and drop them here. And then you can enter the game. And your mount will have completely changed in the design that you want it to be. The same applies to every kind of edit. You have to always put the things into the right folders. For example, if you're editing something about characters, let's say mage, you have to come to character, elf, and then go to DDS and drop those changed files right in here. You have to follow the right data paths. And now let's go to interface. Right, so in interface, we've got lots of sections. So here is the mini-maps of the game. You can change the mini-maps of the game. These are practically this section here. All right, so we just looked at the mini-map section. And in the mini-map section, as I showed you in the game, you're literally editing those mini-map on the top right and the one that when you press M. These are TGA files that you can easily open on Paint too, or you can edit them with AI or with whatever you like to reach some nice effects. I'll show you some modified ones in a moment so that you have a better idea how, what they can be turned into. But I'm sure that you're going to be imaginative enough to explore yourself. In the interface, you'll see that there's the NPC faces that you can edit. And these are practically the ones that determine what is going to be the face of your NPC. We're going to skip the tarot cards because they are not really used in the game. You've got the world names that you can edit, by the way. So the world names are these, the ones that pop up when you move to a certain map or place in a map. You can change what's written, you can change its color, you can make it red, for example. And this is in these small, here are the icons. So in the icon section, you can change, but for example, if you want to change only this weapon's icon in the game, you'll have to edit only this section. So we'll have to zoom in and you'll have to carefully, it becomes lots of pixels actually when you zoom in, but you want to make sure that every pixel fully is covered and it does not overflow into the next icon. You've got some more examples. Practically all the icons in the game of items are going to be here, right? More and more of them. You can change the icons of items, and then the rest is all in here. I'll try to get some bigger icons, right? So the rest of this that's outside these mini folders, directly in the interface folder, these are all the things directly affecting the windows in the game. There are some other icons like the icons of the skills, and you can absolutely edit every button, every interface, the HP bars of players, the HP bars of monsters, pretty much everything that you are seeing as part of interface. I'll just wait for a moment for all of this to load. For example, here's the B tab. You can change these icons here. Here's, I believe, the warehouse. Yes, you can change the warehouse color. You can change lots of things about it. You'll have to experiment and see how it works. These are the loading screens, by the way, the ones that pop up when you're changing maps. You can absolutely change all of these. You can put any other loading screen here. Let me open this one here. And you can literally take another image and overlay it over this one. And then you will have a new loading page. It's easy as that. Right, you can see all the rest of things that are found in here. Here are the invasion signs, but we won't be having those, so you don't have to be bothered about them. And here is actually the picture that pops up when you're logging into the game, so you can even change that if you want. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, just for the sake of demonstration, I'll first show you another folder I have edited from a previous Valinor, and you will see how extensively the interface folder can be edited. So you can see lots and lots of things are changed here. This is from Valinor 5.4, and we can move directly to loading, for example, to the loading pages. And you can see that they're quite different. We have fully replaced them with custom ones. So you can do that too on your own. You can pretty much change anything. You can see some of the interface files that are changed. Now, because I am currently switched to the French language, I can show it to you. Because currently I'm using the French version, I can easily change back to English. Actually, let me do that. I'm changing back to English. So once I'm back to English, I'll have to edit directly the interface folder. So anything I want to change has to be changed in this one. Anything I want to edit, I have to edit it from here and put it back in here. But if I'm using the French client, and I want to change something about interface, I'll have to use the interface FR. So I have to edit the files in here. And the same for the other languages. Now, once you edit a file, again, remember from earlier, once you edit something, you'll have to put it in the data. So you open your SAH editor. You have to make sure that you never change the names of your files. That's a critical thing. No matter what you're editing on the data, if you want the change to take place, you should not ever edit the name of the file. So we're opening our data again, and we want to change interface. So let's say interface French. And let's say that I took this file, user item, whatever it is. You can extract it like this and see it and then edit it. And then you have to put it back here, right in this folder. So you just drag and drop it here without ever changing its name. Right, now in our case, I'm gonna directly edit the English interface because I just switched to English language. So I don't need to edit anything in these folders. I have to edit the one that's called interface. And literally going to remove the entire interface folder. First, I'm actually gonna show you what it looks like when it's non-edited, the classical one. Let's go into the game. We should be now switching to the English interface and everything should be in English. And there we go. You can already see that the interface has changed to English. And this is the current interface. This is how it looks. You saw the loading picture. Here is the interface. So all of this is this way. And yeah, now we are going to replace this. You need to log out, by the way, when you're changing many things in the data. It's safer. So I'm directly going to take this interface folder because I want to see tons of it. It's not just one file. So I'm going to delete this one and directly throw this one in. Because it's in the entire folder, it's a bit large. So it's going to take some time. Indeed, it's a very large folder because we have edited lots of things on it. That's why it's going to take some time to load. Now let's imagine that I wanted all of these changes to exist in the French version of the game. I would have to rename this folder into, if I want to replace the entire folder, I would have to rename this into INTF and -FR. And then I would delete this one and put this one here. And then only then would these changes appear on the French version of the game. All right, so the uploading is finished. The interface now is here. Let's log in and see if things did indeed change. Right, now you can see that because interface files are a bit different, they're not really directly reflecting. Okay. I can tell you what happened because I put the episode 6 interface to episode 5. That's why it did not really work out well. Yeah, because their interfaces are different. But at least you can see that changing the interface, you can see that loading pages did change. So it was not a very wise idea to throw the entire folder because, as I said, we are using an episode 5 game exe here, while on Valinor we had episode 6. And you know that the episode 6 inventory is a bit bigger than this, so you can see that these files, these objects are overflowing here. Right, you can see all of that is changed. We can see that the interface is really episode 8 interface. Right, so this is just to give you an idea what you can do with the game. Of course, when you're editing, you're going to be editing things one by one, so you will not be throwing an entire folder without checking it like I did. So you will have more consistent results, but the rest of the interface, as you can see, is pretty much as it would be expected to be. Right, so this is my first tutorial for you. I think this is going to give you the right idea and direction, and the rest is on you guys. The rest you can just explore and get imaginative. I'm going to release a second tutorial soon, which is going to be slightly more detailed on the things that we could not cover today, or a bit more advanced editing. But at the end of the day, this is going to be an opportunity for you to be part of the development of the game with us. For example, if you find inconsistencies in some strings in the language, for example, let's say French language, you find some files that are not properly translated, you can edit them and you can actually send us your version and say, well, I believe that this is better. So you can literally participate into the development process. You can, as I said, you can make changes and offer those changes, those modifications here on Show Off. You can offer them. You can offer them even full payment. Some design work is quite difficult, so you can sell it to other players who really like it. So the opportunities are really infinite at this point.